AITA for telling my mother a lie my twin and I told as kids. It ruined our relationships. F28, Rachel, seem to have made a pretty big mistake. My father is sick and I recently have been trying to reconnect with my family. For my father's birthday I agreed to see my twin sister for dinner for the first time in 7 years. I guess I was never special enough for her, because the day she moved out, she cut all contact with me. This really hurt, and I haven't been interested in seeing her until our father asked a week ago. My mom and I have never been very close, but something in her opened up when we were at dinner, and she was laughing with me, telling stories. We had a few glasses of wine and I made the wrong judgment call that enough time had passed to now tell her this story in a light-hearted manner. Anyways, we moved to a new school when we were starting grade 3, my twin sister, F28, Sandra had come up with this so funny prank that we were going to pull on all of our classmates. She told me that we were no longer going to tell people that we were twins. We were going to tell them that we were triplets. We were going to pretend that we had another triplet at home that we were not supposed to talk about. She was always more liked than I was and I was trying to make some friends this year. So, I obliged. We started telling every kid that we were triplets, but our sister was so hideous that our parents had decided to keep her locked in the basement and made us pretend like she wasn't there. We got creative with it. We smudged muddy handprints on paper and claimed they were hers. We drew pictures of all three of us and showed it to our friends. I have no idea what possessed her to come up with this or what made me think it was a good idea, but about 2 weeks into grade 3, social service showed up at our house along with 2 officers. They arrived when our grandparents were over. They did an entire investigation, but the details I don't fully remember. I do remember being questioned by a kind lady in a really big blue jacket, but not much else. I remember my sister glaring daggers at me. We both refused to admit anything and it was chalked up to our classmates making things up. A lot is blurry. There was an assembly at school about the importance of lying. And we never had our grandparents over again. I suppose our family became an embarrassment in our community and church because of the scene we had made. We must have convinced our mother that the lie had nothing to do with us, because when I told her last night at dinner, I half expected her to laugh and admit that she knew all along. Instead, she stood up, swung her hand back, and slapped me hard. She yelled at me about how I had destroyed our family name and brought embarrassment to us. She screamed at me to get out of the house, but she also screamed at my sister, Sandra. My mother told us that we were not invited back. Especially in a time when our father is so sick. I feel terrible, but it was my sister's childhood lie. How horrible could we really be? Should our mother really not let us come back to see our father before he passes? My sister I think will never look at me again, and now I'm wondering. AITA? Or is my family overreacting? TLDR, my sister and I told kids in grade 3 that we had a third ugly sister our parents kept in the basement. It was a huge deal in our community. I finally confessed to our mom and she has disowned us. My sister hates me,